2.7 million views with 6,000 subscribers at the time in a month, which was insane.
Meet Gwilym, a strategist and scriptwriter behind some of YouTube's biggest educational channels like Ali Abdaal, Bryan and Ramit Sethi. In this episode, he reveals the psychology behind videos with millions of views.
People don't necessarily want to learn from world-class experts. They want to talk to someone who's just like a few steps ahead of them.
How the top 1% of creators script differently to keep retention high.
So we're in a situation where we are thinking, okay, we've already told the viewer this was the most important section. How do we get them to the next section and keep them listening and watching?
And the massive mistakes small channels make, keeping them stuck.
One problem with educational channels and people getting stuck and not succeeding is...
For those who don't know you, tell us, what have you worked on?
Yes, so I started off as a script writer for Ali Abdaal, 4 years ago, 3 years ago maybe. So I was very much just writing, how do you get the best scripts possible? And then from there, I think working with Ali was a really good incubation for just learning YouTube in general, because at the time he was maybe the only YouTuber who really focused on YouTube meta. He had, a YouTube Academy that taught people how to do it.
What years?
This was maybe 2021. And then from there, I went into more general script writing for other creators, strategy advice. And now I spend most of my time running production and just high-level strategy for various clients.
You worked with some of the biggest channels in the education niche. So what's the best way to come up with winning ideas, for example? Or how do you come about the general strategy of it?
My starting point is I work with branded channels. So people who generally come to YouTube, maybe they're not experts in YouTube. So I think the first stop has to be, what are you really good at? What do you know super well yourself? I think let's use a specific example. There's this channel I've worked with recently. They're called, they used to be called AGI Species. Now they're called Species, documenting AGI.
Yeah.
And the guy who runs it, Drew, is an AI expert, I guess. He's interested in AI. So I think the starting point was, okay, you're interested in AI. What is the purpose of your channel? Is it to sell courses? Is it to drive leads to your business? So that's the first step. What is the point of doing YouTube? Why are you doing YouTube? I know what we want to talk about. We want to talk about AI, the risks of AI. We want to get views. We want to spread awareness. So I think the next stop, before we even get into discussing team, discussing how you make videos, what kind of hits the viewer? What do viewers actually want from this? So instead of making videos about what you find interesting, which is totally reasonable, it's what a lot of people do who have expert knowledge. They think, what do I find interesting about my field? What do my friends find interesting about my field? That's particularly dangerous, right? The bubble effect. Instead, you've got to think, what is the broad reach? Who are all the people who might be interested in, let's say, AI? Okay, what do they care about next? So I'm curious, if I asked you, Richard, what mostly drives you about learning AI, you would give, maybe a more specific answer to do with 1 of 10, right? How can I help it to build my business? But I think for most people, it's what's going to happen next. That's the one thing. What's going to happen over the next 2 years? Then the next thing is, how can I be informed? I think with a lot of educational channels, it's how people want to feel smart. People want to feel like they're one step ahead. I was looking, okay, the first few videos that he was doing was Dangerous Rise of AI Girlfriends, did pretty well.
From the get-go.
Yeah, okay, so this is interesting. It looks like these all did well from the get-go. This was decent. It got maybe 8K views. But this is what really took off.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that thumbnail was insane. How did you come about? Because if you didn't do this video, I don't think the whole channel would have blown up. I think this packaging was genius. So
So what's interesting is you look at this and then you see it repeated, and this is the one that really went mega crazy.
But you learned that from the one from 7 months ago.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. The key thing here is drawing from the source material. If you go into the AI world, you will see always people are talking about what when is this going to happen? When is that going to happen? They're in the world of kind of internet forums, rationalists. They all care about data. I think like charts are a really good way to tell a story. You see this, you know something's going on. There's a pattern and you want to understand it. Rather than putting a face on it, we just want to tell a story super quickly and draw from the source material. I call this teasing expert knowledge. If you check out this video by Optimum Tech, Razer's new keyboard is basically cheating. Okay, the viewers are kind of people interested in gaming. So if it's basically cheating, it's going to give them an edge. But where we see the teasing expert knowledge is null bind on the thumbnail, right? What does null bind mean? What is going on?
Right.
He's promising to. He's doing two things. Not only is he promising to show you something that you're not going to get elsewhere. So like Mr. Beast might do this. It's like what happens when a limousine crashes into a giant jet plane or whatever it is. He's opening like a curiosity gap, right? But he's not teasing expert knowledge. He's not saying this is a really weird thing that I know and you don't. And I think this is what we were doing here with the AI channel is humans, AI. What does the graph mean? Why 2027? What's going on? You see that in these as well. AI escapes the lab, US government falls. What does the green line mean? What does the red line mean? What does China goes dark mean? We know something that you don't. You want to know what it is, and we're going to show you if you click.
And that's why we built 1of10.com, a tool that helps creators like you do the same but 100 times easier. The tool helps you find viral video ideas already working in your niche. It then analyzes the millions of outliers in the database to help you generate your titles and thumbnails that match your channel. For example, it can create thumbnails in the style of Beluga or even create variations of thumbnails from just a title. And this works in any niche. No more wasting hours brainstorming concepts and designing on Canva. And one creator even used 1of10 to combine a viral idea with a high-performing thumbnail concept. The result? Her most viewed video ever with over 2 million views. And the best part? With code POD20 you'll get 20% off for life. So if you want to grow your channel faster, join thousands of YouTubers and head over to 1of10.com. Now back to the pod. And that style of packaging, how'd you come about at it, like the black background and the whole thing? Because I saw that with Rian Doris. I don't know if that was an inspiration or like how...
Yeah, dark background. I think Rian Doris definitely... There are finance, so some of the comps we would be looking at for this would be finance channels as well. Often it's like, is the candle charts that they show for currency going up and down. Again, it's if you want to show something good, then there's a green graph going up. If you want to show something bad, red going down.
So basically the general strategy of that channel, you guys understood what the viewers wanted and then went in that direction. And that 2.7 million views video, how...
Yeah, 2.7 million views with 6,000 subscribers at the time in a month, which was insane. The key thing here... So I was talking about this with Drew, who runs the channel. Like, the bottleneck is content. What are you actually going to talk about that's going to keep people engrossed? And honestly, we figured that, okay, let's analyze Drew's kind of where he's at. He's like 26-year-old guy, thereabouts. He's very interested in the world of AI. He wants to teach people about what he's learning. But he's not an AI scientist. He's not a researcher. He's not like a top expert. But he still wants to talk to people about it. He's a lot more advanced than you are or I am. Sorry, I'm making assumptions there for you, Richard. But he's a lot more advanced than I am. And he can teach people a lot. So what do? We know that people care about data and facts and expertise. So I think the clear route seemed to be, let's channel expert knowledge from elsewhere and what we do is just make really good videos about that. So there was this report, it was called AI 2027, that was describing in detail what would actually happen over the next 3 years that would cause AI catastrophe. What's a potential scenario? And so instead of doing all the research yourself, if you care about something, you just want people to know about it in the world, take the source material, repackage it for YouTube, and yeah, just get the word out there. So that was our approach.
Yeah, I like to hear the behind the scenes like that, because yeah, that video blew up when, like you said, 8,000 or 6,000 subs.
I think this is just, again, a lesson about finding the right format. It's not like we were operating on some insanely high level when it came to the editing and the presentation. Like, yeah, it was all good, but what really kept people going was the information, the promise of the value, which came from the paper. And it was that we decided, from seeing what had worked in the past, that what's an easy way to keep people watching? Well, just have a narrative, have a strong narrative where it's like listicles work like this. If you have a listicle, it's so easy to do because you just say, okay, point number 4 is this, or point number 4 is this. This is the value you're going to get from point number 4. Okay, that's wrapped, point number 5. In the case of you're telling a story, well, it naturally says, okay, what happens next in 2026 after 2025? This is how the story progresses. So that the creator has to do less heavy lifting if they find the right format. And I think that's what I'm always thinking about with any channel that I'm working with.
And I'm curious, what's your most viewed video that you worked on?
I think that would probably be Ali Abdaal's skincare video. I think it was up to maybe 5 million in its first year, if I remember rightly. Okay, so for someone listening, I would say the first step that you can do something similar to this is look at what you know about. In this case, Ali was a doctor, so he had a little bit of an advantage because he could talk about medical things, and look at what is it that you're really interested in that is fairly underserved in the market. In this case, it was men's skincare routines. So yeah, we can look at the intro and I can talk you through why I put everything in where it is.
All right, so having the perfect skincare routine is actually pretty simple. All you need is a few things. Number 1, use a moisturizer. Number 2, use some kind of sunscreen every day. Number 3, use some kind of retinoid every evening. Feel free to wash your face with a cleanser if you really want to. And in fact, you can do 2 in 1 and you can get this sunscreen moisturizer combination. And that is all you need to know to get a really solid skincare routine going.
All right, so firstly, it's a bit counterintuitive. Why do the upfront conclusion, right? In fact, retention drops at that point. So I don't have hard data to prove this, but the video does have 8.4 million views at this point. It's one of Ali's best. So I think what probably happens is that at the beginning, a bunch of viewers are like, okay, I've got the information I need. Cool, I'll check out. But the rest are thinking, this is unusual. I don't usually get this from a YouTube video. Also, I want more information. Now that I know that this guy is for real, he doesn't want to waste my time, I will stick around. And my guess is that if we'd drawn it out differently, if we'd just been like, oh, you need to know everything, be sure to watch till the end to learn everything possible, maybe we would have had higher retention at the beginning, but we wouldn't have won that trust, and we would have had lower retention by the, say, 2-minute mark.
But okay, let's go a little bit deeper into the details. Like, why should we have a skincare routine in the first place? And then what is the scientific evidence that these are the sorts of products that we should actually care about? Well, there's 2 main reasons. Number 1, for healthy skin.
That what we're doing is Ali is playing multiple different characters. I won't play the whole intro because it would take too long, but firstly, he is playing the viewer. So when he's describing pain points, he'll be like, later on he says something like, there are so many options out there. How do you know what to start with? Do you use a snail slime cream to on your nose, etc., etc.? So he's putting himself in the situation of like, hey, I understand your pain. I know it's confusing. So he's the viewer. You'll see that quite a lot on various different educational channels. Secondly, he's the researcher. So I have done a deep dive into all the things you need to learn. I have done the legwork, and you'll see this in, let's say, Johnny Harris or Tom Scott or Answer in Progress. They will say, I've spent the last 100 hours deep in all of these papers searching for the exact answer to this specific question that we both care about. Okay, so he's also the researcher. Later on, we see that he is the doctor. So we play some B-roll of him as the doctor. So I have some expertise. So I guess we're building up his authority there. I'm a doctor, I'm qualified, probably more than you to look into this stuff. But then we bring in his friend, Osama Syed, who did an interview about skincare with Ali. And we're saying we've also got great sources. Again, that I think levels up the video beyond just Ali being a doctor. And yeah, finally, we have Ali as, I guess, an advanced user. So this is something we thought about quite a lot on his channel, was people don't necessarily want to learn from world-class experts. They want to talk to someone who's just like a few steps ahead of them. So we would get Ali to talk through, okay, having learned all of this, this is what I do. And that is more relatable than like a dermatologist telling you what you should do. Instead, it's more like your older brother or someone saying, hey man, just do what I do. I've looked into it.
Makes sense. Makes it more relatable, and it can help especially in the educational niche.
Yeah. We didn't start off with just a blank script. We didn't start off with, okay, we want to make a video about skincare. Let's film the A-roll and then slap B-roll on top of it. We started off with an interview between Ali and this doctor who is a dermatologist. So we had the interview as our like one building block, right? Then we did a lot of research on different papers that would back up the various claims that, or rather, we did a bunch of research on what the best skincare routine is, then used the papers that we did the research on to, I guess, to pull graphs, to pull images. At some point, we've got an image of a taxi driver who had sun damage all on one side of his face from just driving all the time, but not on the other side. And we could use that to say, like, this is why sunscreen is so important. By the end, we had all of these interviews and images and points we wanted to make. And the script was really more bridging between those various visuals and clips. So what the editor had in the end was a collection of stuff that was already kind of pre-edited in the script, instead of, hey editor, I'm sure the editors listening right now will like empathize with this. Hey editor, here's a bunch of A-roll. Can you please make it pretty and entertaining? Because I just spoke at camera for an hour.
What's one more tip you'd say to get that retention up from what you've seen, especially in the educational niche? Segues
are super important. Okay, so you've learned the two first most important things about skincare, but then people are going to naturally drop off at certain points once you've given them interesting information. So what you want to do is to create a bridge to the next section. So let's say in a script I did with Ramit Sethi, it was 6 months. There's like, you can fix your finances in 6 months. Here's how.
Yeah.
So we were saying at the beginning, look, the first 2 months are the most crucial. This is what's going to the house is on fire. You need to put the fire out. Okay. Once the fire is out at the end of the first 2 months, we're in the situation where we are thinking, okay, we've already told the viewer this was the most important section. How do we get them to the next section and keep them listening and watching? So we could just say, okay, now on to point number 3. And that's boring as hell. So instead, what you want to do is something like, all right, so you've got the emergency is fixed, but unless you take this next step, you're always going to be in this loop of fighting emergencies, of feeling lost, of fixing problems. If you go on to month number 3 with me now, we're going to build the foundation for never having to deal with that stuff again. So that's like an example of, I don't think we scripted exactly that segue, but that's a good example of keeping people watching and doing it in an honest way, right? Just tell the truth. That's usually, don't be boring, tell the truth, find a way to make the truth compelling. I think maybe the number one problem with educational channels and people getting stuck and not succeeding, people struggling to script their videos, is bullshit. So there's this essay by a guy called Harry Frankfurt where he's like what is bullshit? What's the definition of bullshit? What does it look like? Is it lying? Is it not? And he's like, bullshit is different to telling the truth, and it's different to lying. So because telling the truth and lying both have a reference to the truth. So if you want to tell the truth, you think, what is true in your head? And then you try and say that. If you lie, you think, what is true? Okay. And what is everything else that is not true? Okay, when you're lying, you know what's true. Otherwise, you wouldn't know that you're lying. But when you're bullshitting, you don't really care about the truth. You just care about something else. You care about the impression you're giving about yourself. You care about how many sales the video will drive. You're caring about... Yeah, my approach for avoiding this whole of like, oh, damn, I just want to write something, I need to get it out there, is bullet pointing. Restrain yourself from writing things out for as long as you can. Just bullet point it. What are all the most important things to say on this topic? Okay, what's the best structure? Carry on bullet pointing. Okay, what are the things that I want to say in each section? Sub-bullet point, sub-bullet point, sub-bullet point. Carry on doing that. Carry on examining yourself, because you're not pouring too much time in. Bullet pointing doesn't take that long. And at the point at which you start feeling like, oh, I really want to just type this damn thing out now, I've got all the stuff I need ready, then just bullet point a little bit more. Just push yourself as far as you can until you know what you're going to say, and then write it out. I think that cures the bullshit.
So yeah, I see you've been working with a lot of, big creators and handling the strategy and the production, right? So like, what's your process to manage the whole thing, the whole production?
So I think there are a lot of nitty gritty bits and pieces that I could go into, but I think what's more useful and what I've been learning and still trying to learn is the general mentality. If you're running a channel, if you're running a big channel, especially with a lot of team members, is always analyze your pipeline. So ideation, are you having enough? Or I guess you could work backwards. So publishing, are you uploading on schedule? Like, are the edits, how long are the edits taking? How long is scripting, and how long is the filming taking? Do filming days slip through the cracks? Do they get moved around? Do they get pushed to next week? Scripting, is it taking as long as you want or not? Are you going to like version 8 or just version 3? Are they high quality? Then do you have enough ideas? So basically, you should always be zooming out and analyzing what's going wrong, what is slowing down. Most channels have a bottleneck somewhere in the pipeline. In fact, I think every channel has a bottleneck in the pipeline, because it's so easy to get into a situation where you're like, oh, this writer or editor or whatever it is doesn't do the job well enough, or they messed up this video, or now it has to go out a week later because of them. But I think you get into a much better place if you're always thinking, I should have fixed it earlier. I think one of the biggest things that helps with that is just clarity across the team. Does everyone know why you're doing things? Does everyone know what the title of the video is going to be? Does everyone know roughly what the packaging is going to look like? Have you briefed the creator on what the vibe should be when they're presenting? Have you looked at the script closely to make sure that it, is easy to film with on the day? Because you're looking at a Google Doc and you're thinking, yep, this is fine. But on the day, they're sitting there with a laptop in front of them and they have to actually talk to camera. So, if you're running an educational channel, you try reading the scripts out to camera a few times. Just put yourself in everyone's shoes, and try and make it work better. Try and make sure everyone knows what's going on.
And before getting into that, let me tell you about how the 1 of 10 strategy team can help you grow your channel much faster and make more money. Our team has directly worked with over 100 YouTubers to grow their channels by optimizing their content, focusing on the right strategies. So for example, here's a video idea, title and thumbnail that we crafted for Mike Shake that ended up getting 22 million views and being his most popular video of all time. Another example is the content strategy we built for Callaway, helping him go from 0 to 70,000 subscribers and grow a six-figure business on top of that. And those are only just two of many creators the team has worked with in the past 6 years. So if you're ready to take your channel to the next level in the next 90 days with daily support, video reviews, winning ideas, titles, and thumbnails, and even 2 calls per month to answer all your questions, head over to oneoften.com/strategy to book a call. By helping on production with all those channels, what are the biggest mistakes you've seen happen, and what's the solution to it?
Well, there are a few ones. I think hiring is one where you can make a decent hire, but you don't realize that you've just made a huge mistake, because if you'd made an even better one, the whole trajectory of your channel would be different. Second one, and I'm sure you've seen this on loads of channels you work with, is going on side quests and ignoring the main quest. Why are we focusing on doing this concept instead of that concept? It's so easy to, at the beginning, be like, this video seems like a great idea, or we really love this. We want to do this for our audience that already exists, and we know they'll love it. But it's still a side quest, because it will not bring you as many views. It will not expand your audience, because your core audience is still going to like the videos that perform well for a general audience, like most of the time. But if you do something more niche that is of interest to you, because I know someone random suggested it, you are losing out a lot, and you probably will not even notice it.
I guess the last question is, what tools do you use in all your pipeline?
Millernote. Thumbnail designers are very visual people, like surprise, surprise, right? Giving them a written brief is not great. Giving them a brief with thumbnails. So I don't have any briefs I can show you right now, but this is some just images that I pulled in. If you can say, look, I like this style, you can drop in comments. Hey, I like this style. You can link to assets that you like. You can create subboards that have more information, and you can create little requests. So drag an arrow, give it a label like this, but more, I don't know, explosions. And then the thumbnail designer can immediately see what's needed from them, instead of Slack messages explaining things. Again, it goes back to the point we were talking about with Ali's skincare video, right? You don't want to start off with a blank slate when you're writing. Also, when you're editing, you don't want to start off with a blank slate. You want to have, what are the graphs we want to show? What are the, how can we cut things so it's not it's not like a boring chronology. Let's say you're doing a video about how to increase your VO2 max, and you've got your standard A-roll where you're sat down talking about what is VO2 max, how can you improve it, blah, blah, blah. But you've also got a section where you went for a run up a hill, right? So maybe you want to cut between you explaining things, you running up the hill, graphs talking about VO2 max, maybe some B-roll that you like. You can plan this out ahead of time in Millernote, and show it to your editor, use it while you're scripting, and everyone, again, is going to have more clarity. They're going to be on the same page. It will make the script better. It'll make the video better. It'll make the editor's life easier. So yeah, I really like Millernote. And then, didn't think I'd forget about you, right?
Of course.
I think the thing I like most using 1 of 10 is probably the ability to just curate my own kind of specific YouTube homepage. So if I'm doing geopolitics and I guess if you're doing something geopolitics, bring in all the different channels that are operating in that niche and go through and see what's popping off right now, what is being done that's a bit different, and just let these kind of seeds blossom in your mind as you're thinking, how do I package my video about whatever it is.
Right.
I would also recommend FreePick. FreePick is great for generating AI mockups. You can feed it specific styles that you like, and it will generate versions like that. And yeah, VO3, I would like to get into VO3 more. So AI video, I think particularly what excites me about it is the idea of creating transitions from a thumbnail into video. Sometimes it's more difficult to get that exactly lined up, especially if you're doing thumbnail after you've filmed. But if you are doing thumbnail after you've filmed your video, you could use VO3 to create a quick transition from the thumbnail to the main body of your video, and that would, I think, affirm the click pretty nicely.
You're pretty much an expert in the educational niche. You've seen it, the ins and outs of it. So let's say I wanted to start from zero today. What would you recommend?
I would say think very carefully about what your kind of unfair advantage is. What do you know that other people want to know? What experiences do you have that other people don't have access to? Start with what has the most value to people and that you are obviously interested in, that you can do for a long time, because you may not have results for a while, especially if you're just starting out from scratch with no video experience. And then with that in mind, really think about formats. So another example, someone was talking to a friend of mine. She's a diamond specialist, sells diamonds. Okay, so I know that that's a really interesting niche, right? So what is working for people in similar niches, like watches, for example? I've seen a channel that he goes around with watches in New York, and he's like, I'm going to sell this watch right now. I'm going to go to this dealer and I'm going to talk to him. So, okay, maybe do you go for the format of selling diamonds live? What does that look like? Or maybe you want to go different route. You want to go for hour-long videos on how to polish diamonds and cut diamonds. Maybe you're not in it. You're just the voice narrating. Again, similar to the watch niche, right? People will do whole 3-hour-long videos dissecting watches, putting them back, taking them apart, putting them back together. And that's more kind of ASMR style. So think about what you can easily do yourself. What do you vibe with the most? And thirdly, what's going to drive the best results for, let's say, your business? So would diamond ASMR videos perform better for driving people to your diamond website? Or would it be showing people how to buy the best diamonds and what they should look out for and what to trust? The second one probably builds maybe more trust.
Awesome. Well, Gwilym, thanks for coming on the 1 of 10 podcast. Where can people find you?
Yep. So check out my newsletter where I talk about YouTube strategy and analysis. You can find that Gwilym SW at Substack, and there'll be a link below. And also check out Making It podcast, where we talk about more like the behind the scenes of how you can succeed at YouTube.
Guys, thanks for watching, and click on this other episode. Thank you.